the MLB slate breakdown. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 9-game slate, going game by game here, looking at some offense, and another day where it's a weaker pitching night, so we should be expecting plenty of runs, unless you're looking at Toronto.
Yeah, yeah, plenty of opportunity against some subpar pitching. So quite a few stacks, quite a few interesting options to go through.
Definitely, and stacks is something we'll definitely take a look at. There are a lot of options. Jumping right into things here, you got the Orioles and Yankees. Over under a 7.5. It's not too particularly thrilling for the offensive side. Two quality arms going. I guess jumping at the Yankee side of things, because Gausman is a reverse splits guy, there aren't too many right-handers in this lineup that can really do damage now that A-Rod's out of the lineup, which is why I think you're actually seeing such a lower total here tonight.
Right, and he is giving up 1.36 home runs per 9. So if Beltran or Teixeira decides to hit from the right side of the plate tonight, that'd be intriguing for them. But other than that, I don't know. Are you really looking at any of these guys seriously?
No, not really. I mean, the only guy I think I might take a shot on is Brian McCann, just because he's cheap behind the plate. Obviously, Camden Yards a friendly place to hit, so it's just kind of a boomer and bust night from, I think, really this game in general.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And as I mentioned on the pitcher pod with Tanaka, he's kind of a guy I'm looking at heavily for tournaments and maybe even sliding into cash for me. So I'm not really looking at this Baltimore lineup.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, he's solid against lefties and righties, a little bit home run prone at times. So once again, that just feeds into the boomer bust nature of this Orioles offense. But really overall, Manny Machado, Chris Davis are kind of the only two names that really stand out to me if I'm tossing them into multiple lineups. So there are better games to target.
Definitely.
Next one here, 707, Rangers and Blue Jays, over under of 8.5. Jay Happ versus Derek Holland. You and I were joking around, you are going to jump on the grid. You're going to sacrifice yourself and take Derek Holland tonight for the good of the industry to get this Blue Jays stack to actually hit one of these times against these weaker arms.
I'm putting the war flag up. I paid someone to get a war drum for me, and we're going into battle with Holland tonight. It's not going to work out. We're going to get slaughtered, but yep, that's what I'm going for. I mean, obviously. I still think Toronto's going to be chalky. They're obviously appealing, and Vegas loves them again, and they're big favorites. So, I mean, they should get those 5 runs, but they just haven't all year. So, I think there's an interesting way to be contrarian. If you're making tournaments, you definitely should throw a stack in there for Toronto. I mean, Encarnacion hit a homer yesterday, so there is that upside still, obviously. But I think I'm starting to get a little gun shy with them right now.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on when are you going to hit that frustration level of, I can't keep rolling these guys out there in good spots and having them, disappoint me night in and night out. But you have your war drum guy. You met up with him this morning down at the corner, and you got it, so you're heading into battle. But overall, I mean, on the positive side, they do have a great track record against left-handed pitching. Donaldson's obviously one of the best in the game against southpaws. I feel comfortable deploying him in all formats if I can fit him into my lineups. And I think he is arguably the top option on tonight's slate as far as a hitter goes. And kind of Giancarlo Stanton a close second. But overall, there's a ton of great plays. I don't think necessarily you need to force Blue Jays into lineups tonight.
Yeah, I agree.
So on the opposite side of things, you and I also discussed Jay Happ being a possible option tonight in cash games as an SP2. Vegas is kind of a little bit down on this Rangers offense just because they are heavily left-handed. Just a 3.5 Vegas run total. Two real right-handers are the only ones that kind of stand out. That's Beltre against the lefty there, and obviously Ian Desmond if you want to be contrarian. But Beltre is a nice pivot, I think, just because he's cheaper.
Yeah, nice, decently priced. I think that's an interesting way to go, especially if you're not looking to pay up for Donaldson.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But outside of that, not really much I'm looking at here.
No, not really.
So. Next game on the board is Brewers and Reds, over under of 9. Great American Ballpark there. The one thing obviously there, you obviously look at Alfredo Simon, and if you've been playing for a while, you're just like, oh, lefties against Alfredo Simon. It's been money all the time.
Hmm.
Necessarily, the Brewers don't have any lefties that really target against them, so that's something to think about. But overall, over under 9, he doesn't miss bats. He allows homers. These guys are playing a great ballpark. I think this is a great GPP game to actually load up on,
Yeah.
just because the run total. But it's also too average to subpar offenses that can't let you down. So I won't get too crazy, but I do think there are runs to be scored here.
And as you mentioned, the splits, there aren't necessarily the matchups for the Brewers side. So I think you can still get some upside there without maybe the ownership percentage being pushed into their side, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I mean, Simon just kind of your average arm. I still think Ryan Braun's certainly in play. Lucroy, Chris Carter, Jonathan Villar is a guy I like. He is one guy that's hitting from the left side against Simon. Should be hitting number 2, so he's an interesting GPP shortstop option on both sides.
Yeah, and then you look at Chase, giving up a lot of homers. He's just not. He's a happy guy though. But no, I do like this Reds lineup tonight. I think there's potential stacking opportunities here for tournaments at least.
Yeah, definitely. And reverse splits guy, one guy I'm looking at, Zach Cozart, 3,300 on DraftKings, off to a phenomenal start to the season, hitting leadoff. I like him a lot tonight. He's been solid. Brandon Phillips, if you want a deep GPP play, and then Votto and Bruce still GPP options, even though Chase has been a reverse splits guy.
Right. That's where I'm at too with them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely like this game for Terrence. I think it's kind of should get some lower ownership there, and there's definitely a big run total on the board. Next one here, 7-10 Diamondbacks and Marlins. Robbie Ray versus Adam Conley. 2 southpaws against 2 top 5 offenses against left-handed pitching so far this season. It certainly puts a lot of right-handed bats in play. You look at Conley. You and I we're looking at him as a possible GPP option. So I think you put that aside. Maybe you're not playing him tonight. Obviously, guys like Goldschmidt, Brandon Drury, and Wellington Castillo are kind of the 3 right-handed bats that stand out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're fading the Diamondbacks because of Conley. Obviously, there's a lot of ways and potential that this could go wrong for him as well. So I'm not afraid of playing Goldschmidt or Tomas or Drury in the 2, 3, 4 spots for the Diamondbacks. But I mean, I do think he's intriguing as well. So I'm kind of in on them on tournaments.
Yeah, I think so. I think cash game wise, they're not going to be really in play for me. I just think better options. You know, on the Marlins side of things, they have a ton of right-handed bats that I really like tonight. Robbie Ray, not a quality left-hander. Ray, I mean, since 2014, 358 WOBA allowed, 38% hard ball rate. So right-handers are hitting him hard and well. I mean, outside of Stanton, Ozuna, and Real Muto, Prado, I mean, one very cheap punt option that you might want to consider is Chris Johnson if he's in the lineup.
Yeah, I like that call too. Yeah, no, I like this. I like this lineup against Ray. So I think this is intriguing. And hey, maybe not cash, but I would like a few stacks of Marlins tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was going to ask you if that's ranking up in your stack top 3 there. I mean,
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, not the best stadium, but obviously, against a weak lefty, this lineup with right-handers, I'm certainly consider it for their prices. Next one here, you got Nationals and Cubs, over-under of 8. Cubs decent favorites. Joe Ross, Kyle Hendricks. You and I were looking at Joe Ross, and we're kind of staying away just because of his small sample size in the majors, but his ability to get right-handers out. But lefties had a little bit more success off of him, and against a Cubs lineup that is just filled with tremendous left-handed bats, it's a little bit scary to pull the trigger on him. So Chicago, definitely an interesting play tonight.
Yeah, I like them. Bryant, La Stella, Rizzo. Definitely looking at those guys. I mean, we just don't. I'm not too confident Ross gets through this one without sort of seeing the Cubs do what they've been pretty much doing all year. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'd be taking the over for the Cubs tonight. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I love all 3 of those names you mentioned, Fowler and Zobrist being the other 2. Zobrist kind of quietly coming along here, hitting over 300 in the last 10 days. So it's nice to see him turn around after a poor start. And I like that DraftKings price hitting fifth behind Rizzo, below 5 or 4K there. So he could be a sneaky play tonight.
Right. And on the other side, I think we're looking at Harper and Murphy here as the two main guys, pretty
The
much.
usual candidates.
Yeah, pretty much the usual suspects there. And against Hendricks, righty versus lefty. So they're definitely intriguing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I mean, is that about all you're looking at from Washington? I mean, that's about all I ever look at.
I like Zimmerman batting in between them, but he just hasn't returned pretty much most nights. So yeah, I think you're not touching him tonight either.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Next one here, 8-10, Red Sox and White Sox, big over-under of 9. Henry Owens versus Eric Johnson. This one's certainly intriguing just because, one, you got two quality offenses. The Red Sox more especially right now against right-handed pitching. They've been absolutely phenomenal this year. White Sox a little bit average, but they still have some big boppers. Red Sox is a cash-worthy team tonight. I think they're a great GPP stack as well. White Sox, I think I'm treating more on the tournament side, even though Henry Owens has kind of been a little bit mediocre, a little bit up and down at the major league level.
Yeah, I think when you're building your cash lineups, you want to start with the Red Sox here. I think this is a great matchup for them in terms of pretty much they're 1 through 5. I think they're all in play, even in cash. So yeah, definitely intrigued by that. And I think some of the White Sox are in play as well for cash. I think you look at Abreu and Frazier, I think, and even Melky a little bit here. I'm not too afraid of Owens, so I do like those guys a little bit for cash as well.
Yeah, Todd Frazier is the guy I'm really looking at tonight. I think he's an interesting swerve down from Donaldson. I mean, he's a guy who's hit lefties well. I definitely don't mind Abreu at that price. Obviously, coming off a homer last night. I think Ortiz is probably my standout play from this game just because Johnson's been so bad. Johnson's been so bad against left-handers. Travis Shaw is another one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on in tournaments just because he offers a lot of upside for a pretty cheap price tag.
Yeah, 3,400 on DraftKings, and if they get things rolling early, he's going to get plenty of opportunity with guys on. So yeah, I like that call.
And he's a guy. I mean, because third base is loaded tonight with Donaldson, Beltre, and Frazier all getting left-handers. Shaw's going to be pretty low owned.
Definitely.
So next game here, got Mariners and Astros. Chris Davinsky taking on Wade Miley, 8.5 over under. You were loving that Houston stack. They ranked in as one of your tops last night, and I mean, obviously, again here you got to look at them against Miley if they can heat up and build upon last night.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're not going to get that again. That was fun, but again, I think this is another good matchup for them, and I think you're looking at the 1 through 5 in this lineup, especially like Springer again and Correa. So,
yeah, I mean, Altuve's been superb to start the season. I mean, is he a guy you pay that price tag for?
I think I like Stanton and Harper over him tonight.
As far as paying up.
Yeah, if I'm paying up, I'm probably looking at one of those two instead of him.
Yeah, I mean, understandably. I mean, obviously, Altuve not a huge power guy, but I mean, a great play against lefties. He's always has been. But yeah, I mean, that price tag is through the roof.
Yeah. And I think you can get a little sneaky with this Mariners lineup tonight against Davinsky, who really we don't have much on. So I think you can get a little crazy with this lineup and maybe hit some low percentage returns here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, obviously Minimate's great for left-handed power. He's making a start. I mean, he's kind of boasted, average minor league stats here. Kind of an average strikeout rate. He's had a FIP kind of in 3.5 to the 4 range. So it kind of just seems like your average right-handed arm. And obviously guys like Cano and Cruz and Adam Lind and Kyle Seager kind of stand out. Obviously Seth Smith is a decent punch GPP option, but a little bit boomer bust, and he does have potential to be pinch hit for late in the games.
Yeah, and I don't think these guys are going to be high owned either. So for tournaments, can't really do it in cash. I don't think you're probably not touching these guys, but I think there's plenty of tournament potential here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the only name that I might throw in cash just because the price tag is Nelson Cruz. 4,400 just seems cheap for his price. but overall, I definitely am in agreement with you there.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, late games here, you got Mets and Padres, 6.5 over under. Jacob deGrom is a guy we are not picking on. Definitely. Colin Rea, a right-hander there. The Mets team, I mean, more than capable of getting to Rea here. Obviously, Petco does have some nice power part factors to left-handed bats, so it could be an interesting way to go about things to differentiate yourself. The prices aren't too bad for them either. Still guys like Conforto and Duda kind of in play for GPPs.
Right, Conforto only 3,900 on DraftKings, so that definitely catches your eye. I mean, this Mets team is always seemingly up and down and not doing well when you want them to, but I think this is an interesting night to see them get that upside.
Yeah, it certainly is something. I mean, obviously, I think because this is the late game, because it's Petco, still, I mean, we've seen lefties go off here, and this is a heavily left-hand team. It could be some sort of sneaky option. And I think there are some great one-offs to really differentiate yourself from those stacks. You throw in a Houston stack, maybe throw in one Mets bat, and it kind of
Conforto, Duda, Granderson, something like that, and hope they get a double. Or yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and moving on to the other game here, over under of 8, and it's in San Francisco. This is one that could actually be kind of sort of sneaky for offense. I mean, I think if you were looking at a better ballpark, you'd find a little bit higher ownership. But because they're out in AT&T, it's obviously Kana has been. I mean, Russin, kind of your average run-of-the-mill lefty, puts guys like Pence and Posey in a good spot. But also on the other side, I mean, Kane, you look at a lot of these Rocky bats, cheap.
Yeah, I'm going after Kane tonight, I think. I really like – I mean, I know Vegas isn't liking the Rockies tonight, only projected for 3.4 runs, but he just hasn't been good this year, and he's given up a lot of home runs, especially to righties. So, yeah, I'm intrigued here. I
like how you said that. You just said it with some grit. You're like, I'm going after Kane tonight.
I'm going after him. I like it. I'd be interested to see when the ownership percentages come out what the Rockies ownership it looks like. Because I don't think it's going to be too high.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're looking at Blackman, Story, Cargo, Arenado. I mean, really cheap. Both those outfielders below 4K on FanDuel or on DraftKings. I mean, that's something to consider tonight. I think they are worth a look, and they kind of rank along the Mets for me as if you want to be different,
right,
and still roll out a top chalky stack. They're not pricey, and you can fit them in.
And again, obviously, their stats are inflated because of Coors, but I just think this is a really intriguing matchup for upside for them.
Yeah, I mean, let's roll this out. I mean, Kane, since 2014, 366 WOBA allowed, 1.52 home runs per 9 to left-handed bats. So, yes, the ballpark there, depreciates a lot of offense, but overall, an 8 over under, they are still expecting some runs tonight. So, but yeah, I mean, you get that grit, man. You're going after Kane, I can tell.
Did you hear the teeth grinding?
That's what it was, yeah. It was the emphasis. You were just like, I am going to rip him.
I'm going right at him.
We're going to wrap things up here, the slate breakdown. Check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.